Hi, welcome to On This Day in Tudor History with me, Claire Ridgway, founder of the Tudor Society. Now I'm taking you back to early in the reign of King Henry VIII today. For on this day in Tudor history, 10th of March 1513, John de Vere, 13th Earl of Oxford, died at his home at Castle Hedingham in Essex. Let me give you some facts about this Earl of Oxford, who was a key figure in the Wars of the Roses. John de Vere was born on the 8th of September 1442 and was the second son of John de Vere, 12th Earl of Oxford, and his wife Elizabeth Howard, daughter of Sir John Howard. His father and his older brother were executed for treason in 1462, but luckily Oxford did not suffer, being granted licence of entry on his father's lands and being created Knight of the Bath at the coronation of Elizabeth Woodville, Edward IV's Queen Consort, in 1465. He also served as Great Chamberlain of England and the Queen's Chamberlain at the coronation proceedings. In November 1468, Oxford was imprisoned in the Tower of London for plotting with Lancastrians, but was released in early 1469 and pardoned in April 1469. But in the summer of 1469, he plotted with George, Duke of Clarence, brother of Edward IV, and Richard Neville, Earl of Warwick, against King Edward IV, who was then captured at the Battle of Edgecote Moor on the 26th of July, following the defeat of his royal army. However, Edward was released in September 1469 and took back his throne. Oxford was obviously a little bit unpopular with the king now, and so he fled into exile at the court of Margaret of Anjou, wife of King Henry VI. There he joined Warwick, Clarence and the Lancastrians in planning an English invasion to put King Henry VI back on the throne. They were successful in restoring Henry to his throne, and on the 13th of October 1470, Oxford bore the sword of state before King Henry VI in a procession to St. Paul's. On the 15th of October, he presided over the trial of John Tiptoft, Earl of Worcester, who was condemned for high treason. I wonder how Oxford felt presiding over the trial of the man who, as Lord High Constable, had presided over the trials of his father and brother. Oxford helped prevent the landing of the former king, King Edward IV, in Norfolk in 1471 and commanded the force that defeated that of Lord Hastings at the Battle of Barnet on the 14th of April 1471. However, after this initial victory, bad visibility due to mist caused Oxford's badge with its star with rays to be confused with Edward IV's Sun in Splendour badge, and Lord Montague's men, who were actually on the same side as Oxford, attacked Oxford's force, causing them to flee in panic. Edward's Yorkist side had the final victory at the battle, and Oxford fled to Scotland and then on to France, where he focused on privateering or piracy for a time. In September 1473, Oxford was able to seize St. Michael's Mount in Cornwall, but was forced to surrender on the 15th of February 1474 after a siege and having been hit in the face by an arrow. Ouch. Oxford was imprisoned at Amidst Castle in the Pale of Calais and attainted for treason. In 1478, Oxford either tried to escape or it might have been a suicide attempt when he scaled the walls of the castle and jumped into the moat. He survived, though. In 1484, the new king, Richard III, ordered him to be transferred from Calais to England. But Oxford had escaped, and he and his former jailer, James Blunt, joined Henry Tudor, who was planning an invasion of England. Oxford helped Henry by bringing a force from Amidst Castle. Henry Tudor and his forces met those of King Richard III at the Battle of Bosworth Field on the 22nd of August 1485, with Oxford commanding Henry's archers and his vanguard against Richard's vanguard, led by John Howard, Duke of Norfolk, who was killed in the battle. Henry and his forces were, of course, victorious in the battle, and Richard III was killed, and Henry became King Henry VII. King Henry VII rewarded Oxford's loyalty with offices including Lord Admiral, Constable of the Tower of London, Captain of the Yeoman Guard, and Lord Great Chamberlain of England. He was also a member of the King's Council and was elected a Knight of the Garter in 1486. He also stood as godfather at Prince Arthur's christening in 1486 and commanded the vanguard at the 1487 Battle of Stoke. In 1489 and 1497, Oxford led forces against the Yorkshire and Cornish rebellions, and in 1499 he presided over the trial of Edward, Earl of Warwick. Oxford was a powerful man in East Anglia, holding many offices there. Oxford was married to Margaret Neville, sixth daughter of Richard Neville, Earl of Salisbury, and sister of the Earl of Warwick, the Kingmaker. Margaret was adversely affected following the Battle of Barnet in 1471, when her husband's estates were confiscated. Things didn't improve until 1482, when she was granted an annuity. She died in 1506, and Oxford went on to marry again, marrying Elizabeth Scrope, daughter and co-heir of Sir Richard Scrope, and widow of William, 2nd Viscount Beaumont. Oxford died on this day in 1513, in the reign of King Henry VIII, leaving his wife Elizabeth, but no children. He was buried alongside his first wife Margaret in the Lady Chapel of Colne Priory, the traditional burial place of the de Veres, on the 24th of April 1513. Now, I hope this look at the life of this Earl of Oxford has shown you just how complicated the Civil War, the Wars of the Roses was, and how people sort of changed sides, and very complicated times. You can find last year's On This Day in Tudor History in the description for this video. So you can watch 2 videos today. How great is that? And you can subscribe to the channel by clicking around about there. You can hit the bell to be notified as these videos go live. And you can, of course, give me a like and leave me a comment. Thank you. Bye-bye.